What's up, guys? No longer skinny here. Today we're going to make a peanut butter no-bake pie with a Nutter Butter cookie crust. So pretty much I have what I'm going to use for the crust out here, just this butter and my Nutter Butter cookies. So the first step is going to be to crush these up. So I'm going to do that real quick and then I'll show you what that looks like. So I don't really have the best method of doing this, so what I'm doing is using the bottom of this cup here, just kind of twisting as I press down on the cookies. And after a few minutes they should be fine enough to begin making our crust. Alright, so after a couple minutes you should have fairly fine cookies here, and once we do that, we're going to add I'm going to add 5 tablespoons of this after I throw it in the microwave to soften it up for a couple seconds. Alright, so we have our melted butter and the mashed up Nutter Butter cookies. So I'm just going to mix this around, kind of get it evenly incorporated, and then we're going to press it on our pie pan and we will have our pie crust. Okay, so at this point, we have a base. I actually did not use enough Nutter Butter cookies to get the sides of the pie pan, unfortunately, but I think I'm just going to run with this anyway, and we'll just have a base rather than a full crust. Another thing, I'm actually going to bake the crust, so it's not a true no-bake pie, but I'm just going to bake this for, I'm going to say 10 minutes at about 300 degrees, and then that should do it, and I'll take this out and let it cool. Alright, so what we have here is 4 ounces of fat-free cream cheese, and then we have our, we have about 8 ounces of Cool Whip, and then we have our sweetener. This is actually 3/4 of a cup of sweetener. 3/8 of that is going to be confectioner's sugar, and the other 3/8 is going to be Splenda. I just wanted to cut down on the overall sugar content, so I figured I'd do a half and half mixture of confectioner's sugar and Splenda. So I'm going to add that to the cream cheese here, and then we're going to mix that up with a hand mixer. Okay, so once we have the sweetener slash confectioner's sugar and cream cheese mixed up, we're going to go ahead and add a half cup of milk and 3/4 of a cup of peanut butter. I chose to use 2% milk, and I used Jif creamy peanut butter. Normally I eat natural peanut butter, but I just feel like the texture of Jif or any of the quote-unquote unnatural peanut butters is going to work better with this pie, so that's why I chose Jif. Okay, so here we have our crust that's just gotten out of the oven. It was in there at 300 degrees for about 13 or 14 minutes. It's risen a little bit, but it should drop back down once it cools. And in any case, we're going to let it sit for about an hour before we add our mixture to it, which is currently looking like this. It is very delicious in this form, so be careful not to eat it all. We're going to fold in our Cool Whip topping, or any whipped topping of your choice, about 8 ounces of whipped topping at room temperature, and I'll show you what that looks like in just a second. So here we have the whipped cream. Again, it's about, well, whipped topping rather. Again, it's about 8 ounces of it. I'm just going to kind of fold this back and forth. Eventually it'll evenly incorporate and have a nice color to it. And then we'll just kind of let it sit while we wait for our crust to fully dry, and then we'll add it and put it in the freezer. So we've had enough time for our crust to cool. I went ahead and added the mixture on top of the crust, as you can see. I'm actually going to add just a little bit of peanut butter, kind of like the fashion you would a marble cheesecake, and I'm just going to take a knife and kind of swirl it around to give it a bit of a nice look to it, as well as add a bit more peanut butter to the pie, and I'll show you what that looks like in just a second. Okay, so because of the texture, I'm actually going to use natural peanut butter this time. Natural peanut butter is a bit more runny, as you can see, and it's going to work better for what I'm trying to do. So I'm just going to grab a little bit on the edge of this knife and kind of swirl it around just like that. I'm not going to try and incorporate this too much because it's mainly for look. It'll add a bit of taste to it, but nothing too crazy. And I'm just going to do this until I'm happy with the way that it looks, and then we'll put it in the freezer. Alright, so I decided to get a little bit more creative with it. Right before we put it in the freezer, I just added a couple of Nutter Butter cookies and sprinkled some crushed up Nutter Butter cookies, and I also added some Hershey's chocolate syrup just for look. You're probably not going to be able to taste it at all, but I think it looks pretty good, so I'm just going to put it in the freezer for a couple hours here, and we'll take it out when we're about to eat dessert. And I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoy the resulting pie as well. Thanks for watching.